step closer to becoming a law. Malacanang confirms receipt of the enrolled copy for President Duterte's signature. Mayan Los Baños with the story.
That the anti-terrorism bill will go under the microscope before President Duterte decides on its fate. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque says the president can drop provisions which will be deemed unconstitutional.
Agad na aking sinabi dati, no, yan naman po ay dadaan sa proseso, pag-aaralan mabuti ang mga probisyon at kung meron po mga probisyon na unconstitutional, then i-advise si Presidente kung i-veto o hindi.
The Justice Department says it has an internal timetable to submit its comments on the bill to the Office of the President in 15 days. Senate President Tito Soto has expressed confidence that the Chief Executive will not veto the measure, which he and House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano enrolled to the palace this morning. In a text message, the Senate leader questioned why some congressmen are still insisting to hold the bill's passage when it has been agreed upon by both chambers of Congress. The lower chamber swiftly adopted the Senate's version of the bill, which seeks to amend the Human Security Act of 2007 in a bid to strengthen the country's counter-terrorism efforts. Still, a number of lawmakers are up in arms with the proposed bill. In a virtual presser this morning, Senator Risa Ontiveros branded as a form of people power the growing opposition to the anti-terrorism bill, as well as a decision of some Solons to withdraw their initial affirmative votes.
Isa itong forma ng people power din, ng ating mga mamamayan sa kanilang mga kinatawan. And kaya rin siguro na-embolden yung ibang mga counterparts namin sa House na una nang bumoto ng no sa anti-terrorism bill, na sa loob din ng rules of the House of Representatives, subukang i-roll back, mag-push back dun sa legislative status ng bill.
She also expressed hope that the Supreme Court would do its part in scrutinizing the bill should there be a need to elevate it to the High Court. President Duterte has made no secret of his support for amending the Human Security Act of 2007 and adding teeth to the country's counter-terrorism efforts. Recall that the president certified the anti-terrorism bill as urgent earlier this month as the country grapples with the COVID-19 pandemic. He has 30 days to either veto or sign the legislation or else it will lapse into law. Reporting for News 5, Mayan Los Baños, we are One News.
Several groups are making last-minute calls for President Duterte to veto the anti-terrorism bill now that the ball is in his court. In a statement, ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro urges the chief executive to junk what she calls the anti-people measure. She insists that the bill is being fast-tracked to prevent more lawmakers from withdrawing their affirmative votes. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque's former law firm Center Law also issued a strong stance against the recent development, saying it only reveals the government's, quote, completely wrong priorities amid the pandemic. For its part, the Integrated Bar of the Philippines zeroed in on the constitutionality of the planned creation of an Anti-Terrorism Council or ATC. The IBP questions the ATC's power to authorize in writing the taking into custody of terrorism suspects, which under the 1987 Constitution is exclusively a judicial power. And Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan, one of the only two senators who voted no or voted against the anti-terror bill, explains the rationale behind his decision. Apart from questioning the constitutionality of assigning the ATC the power to arrest suspected terrorists, the senator also disapproves of the 14-day detention without warrant. However, when asked by Cito Beltran on One News's agenda regarding the entry of terrorist money, Pangilinan acknowledged that this is indeed a serious matter.
When I interviewed Congressman Jericho Nograles, I hope I got his name correct, he said that the reason that they needed to push for this anti-terrorism bill, more than anything, he didn't even cite terror or terrorism. He said that the financial institutions were pressuring the Philippines because tayo lang daw yung iilan na walang batas that secures or protects against terrorist funding.
I think it's a combination of both. You know, the terrorist money, going in and out of our banking system is precisely a major concern. ginagamit yung ating sistema ng finance, yung banking system para makapag-ano ng kanilang terrorist activities to fund their activity. So talagang that is a serious concern. After all, itong money laundering, 'di ba, is really a criminal anti-crime, 'di ba, policy kasi
Meanwhile, Senator Panfilo Lacson, the bill's main sponsor in the Senate, took a swipe at critics protesting the bill. In a tweet, he asked if they aspire to be at the top spot of the Global Terrorism Index, where the Philippines currently ranks 9th. Lacson also said that if critics want more deaths due to terrorism, then go ahead and junk the anti-terror bill. And it's a tale of two foreign affairs secretaries. In a statement, we have DFA Chief Teodoro Locsin Jr. hailing what he describes as a blooming relationship between the Philippines and China. Locsin made the message for the 45th anniversary of Philippine-China diplomatic relations. Apart from going lengthily on his personal exploits in China, the country's top diplomat said that the friendship between the two countries flourished into a new partnership for mutual profit and progress under the current administration. However, his predecessor, former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario, said that China only pretends to be a friend while seizing our territories and harassing our people. Del Rosario added that China owes the country billions of pesos for its continuing abuses in the West Philippine Sea. The former Foreign Affairs Secretary also added that the country could make China pay for its abuses through making its officials pay criminally, including the seizure of assets and properties owned by China in the Philippines in order to satisfy its debt to Filipinos. Del Rosario also noted how surveys show that 9 out of 10 Filipinos believe that the country should regain control of the West Philippine Sea. We're taking a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us here on One News. Good afternoon. You're still watching One News Now. COVID-19 cases in the country are closing in on the 23,000 mark. This comes as the health department recorded a total of 518 new COVID-19 cases, of which 280 are fresh cases and 238 are late cases. To be exact, there are now 22,992 COVID-19 cases in the country. The DOH also recorded 6 new COVID-19 deaths, bringing the total number of fatalities to 1,071. Meanwhile, a total of 4,736 people have recovered from the SARS-like disease, with 99 new recoveries. And President Duterte said that almost 3,700 cases of violence against women and children have been reported to the police since quarantine restrictions started in Metro Manila. In the president's 11th weekly report to Congress, Duterte said that the Philippine National Police recorded some 1,945 cases of violence against women and 1,754 cases of abuses against children amid community quarantine. The president said that the PNP Women and Children Protection Desks are working closely with LGUs to ensure that they are indeed protected. He added that the Philippine Commission on Women has been actively responding to inquiries through various electronic platforms. But it's not only violence against women and children. The health department also saw a spike in unwanted pregnancies worldwide since the onset of the pandemic. On the other hand, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeri says that there has been a decline on pregnant women going to clinics and hospitals for prenatal checkups for fear of contracting COVID-19. With this, the health department is set to launch an improved program on family planning.
We want to avoid unintended pregnancies from unmet family planning needs. Alam natin lahat that family planning is one of our essential health services together with immunization, with the provision of medicines like for TB, for HIV, and all. And it is these family planning services are provided in our facilities.
Listen up, basketball fans, because nearly 3 months after the 45th season was postponed, the Philippine Basketball Association hopes that it can resume operations soon. However, the IATF has yet to approve the new normal guidelines that the league has recommended. To give us more details, Lynn Olivario is joining us live from Mandaluyong City. Lynn, what's going on? Are we finally going to see some action on the hard court soon?
Sean, the PBA remains optimistic that they can resume the 45th season before the year ends. Speaking at an online press conference of the Philippine Sports Writers Association, Commissioner Willie Marshall said the league is awaiting the IATF's approval of the protocols they submitted. If approved, basketball teams may hold practices by batch, which consists of 4 players and 1 trainer along with a health officer to ensure social distancing. The trainings will purely be for conditioning purposes without tune-up games and scrimmages. According to Marshall, the PBA has lost at least 30 million pesos per month since season 45 was canceled. These include gate receipts, TV revenues, and sponsorships. The management assures, however, that employees are still receiving their salary. The commissioner believes that the PBA has a high chance of resuming its operations later this year. If allowed to resume, the PBA will carry on with the Philippine Cup, where San Miguel defeated Magnolia in the season opener last March 8th before deciding to shut down operations 3 days following the start of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country. Sean, Commissioner Willie Marshall is happy to note that no one from the PBA family has contracted the coronavirus. Among those who have been tested include the PBA staff, the 3 San Miguel teams, and the 3 MVP teams. And testing will be mandatory for all the teams if the IATF approves the league's request. Sean.
All right, exactly how do they plan to carry out the testing? Would it be before every practice, before every game, before every scrimmage? Because basketball is a contact sport, Lynn.
Let me just clarify now, Sean, what they're asking permission for is to hold practices first, to hold practices for the purpose of conditioning. So we're not yet talking about the games. So once the IATF approves the league's request to hold practices by batches, like I mentioned, it will be done. So training will be mandatory for all the players. The players won't be allowed to practice without having been tested, and testing will be done every 10 days, Sean.
All right, so testing every 10 days. This is just, again, like you said, for practice. With regard to the resumption of the actual season, your report mentioned that it could start by the end of the year or maybe early next year. What are the contingencies of the PBA? As you said, also, they are losing some 30 million every month because of the closure of the games.
Sean, it depends really if they will be given the go signal by the IATF. So if they will not be allowed to resume, Commissioner Willie Marshall said they will have to discuss within the board and come to a decision whether to cancel season 45 entirely. Sean.
All right, but right now, am I getting it clear that they are in constant coordination with the IATF for the new normal when it comes to PBA games and basketball and sports in general?
PBA Commissioner Willie Marshall said earlier, and Deputy Commissioner Eric Castro said that they already submitted the proposal to the IATF last Thursday. Today is Tuesday. They have yet to hear from the IATF. They copy furnished both CABSEC Carlo Nagrales and even DOH Secretary Francisco Duque. So right now, everyone's really just waiting for the go signal, whether it needs revisions or whether they will be allowed to proceed as they proposed. Sean.
All right, thank you, Lynn. I'm sure a lot of ball fans are eagerly awaiting the resumption of PBA as well as, just casual players as well. Thank you very much, Lynn Olivario, for that update. For further updates, do follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. I'm Sean Yao, and we are One News.